This is a CNA podcast.
Welcome back to the Climate Conversations with me, Julie Yu. Small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, are the backbone of Singapore's economy. They make up 99% of businesses and employ 70% of our local workforce. This makes SMEs a core element of Singapore's ambitious plans to get to net zero. Yet they may be falling behind. According to UOB's SME Outlook Study 2022, 3 out of 5 SMEs know that adopting sustainable practices are important, but face challenges implementing them. So what are their top hurdles? Insufficient knowledge, inadequate financial support, and the lack of sustainability training. Now, my guest today is Amy Chung, and she runs a company called Containers Printers. It has been in the packaging business since the early 1980s and provide packaging solutions to food, nutrition, and medical brands. Their first product remains their most recognizable: square metal tins for cooking oil common throughout Southeast Asia. In 2021, the company won the National Environmental Agency's Outstanding SME of the Year award for its commitment to reducing energy consumption and carbon emissions. I'd like to find out how this SME charted its sustainability course, what challenges it faced in doing so, and how others can learn from its own journey. So Amy, let's start with how your sustainability journey is coming along. I understand that Containers Printers set a goal to reduce energy consumption by 5% and carbon emissions by 10% by 2023. Is it on track?
Certainly all our initiatives are on track. We had actually started this journey a couple of years ago, 2016 onwards. I encouraged everyone in the department and tasked all of them certain roles, initiatives, sourcing, the things that we could do that are low-hanging fruits and all that. During those times, we were like this lone ranger. Not many people, public or private sectors, were really involved. Even from technical capabilities and sourcing of suppliers who could provide us with the technology to achieve our objectives was difficult. But we managed to get some and we started implementation. Right now, the public sector has raised awareness. It's useful because this ability to find updated technology makes it a lot easier and it's a lot cheaper now. Although I think that we need more cooperation between the public and private sectors. If we don't get this cooperation, we're not going to achieve the targets. Right now, the initiatives that I have for the company are basically to form a baseline. So to gather the database or that baseline is really what I'm doing right now.
Your company has been around since 1981, so that's more than 40 years in the business. But when did you realize, okay, it's time to go green? What was the motivating force behind your sustainability goals?
Actually, it was more unconsciously done. The future will be a much hotter world. The working environment for my workers are actually very warm. The thought of it even going 1 degree higher would be terrible because it's already hard to find people able to cope with that kind of temperature. And to go then further up would be unbearable. So internally, what I started with was really to benefit my own workforce. So I even did my own extraction system to take heat away from equipment. At that time, I wanted to recycle, to use back some of these heat generated, but they don't have the technology then. So I had no choice but to put it out in the air. But immediately the workforce could see the impact. And what I did also was clear a lot of equipment out of the workplace so that the working environment becomes a lot more friendly and there's more air circulation around. When we make K-Packs, new equipment, then I'll look to see whether it's a sustainable manufacturing process that would be more eco-friendly. But there was no policy set in place because it was really unconsciously done. It's only now when public awareness has been raised and you have a bit more governance to set in policies, then we document policies and officially corporatize them.
So it started with your aim of cooling the place for your
Yes.
employees.
Yes.
But just walk us through that critical steps you have taken to save energy and reduce carbon emissions, because I hear of installing 4,000 solar panels and switching to LED lights. How did all those ideas come about?
It's really to raise awareness amongst my own staff that we are really here to keep the environment good. Take 3 hours seriously. So some of the other initiatives that I put in was to recycle, reuse, and, all these initiatives were just to tell people of the environment around us that we have to save as much as we can. If they see the company setting a role whereby we go ahead and set solar panels, banks were not even involved in that then. So we were on this journey on ourselves with the suppliers. Every day I have so many trees saved. I have this television that shows you how many trees you save per day.
So tell us, how much energy have you saved and how effective have they been in reducing the company's carbon emission?
Well, the solar energy that we produce only supplies about 10%. So we are quite a medium-sized company, but in terms of the usage of energy, we're not small.
So talk to us about the cost of going green.
It's costly.
It is, right?
It's very costly. The first thing to get data right and being digital is very costly. It's not sunk cost, is it? It's not a one-time off. You have one time off to buy the software, if not start licensing. And the running cost builds up tremendously. So if you want to see bottom line positive impact, you don't.
Hi, I'm Stephen Chia, and I host the new season of our podcast, Heart of the Matter. Join me in getting right to the heart of the headlines as we speak with experts and newsmakers to delve deep into the most talked about news developments. Look out for our episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
So, Amy, how did you balance and justify the costs of climate initiatives against your other business goals and objectives? That must have been quite challenging.
Yeah, whenever there was an opportunity to make a capex, a new investment, that's when I balance out, set the priorities. Naturally, you would tend to go for commercial purposes. So it has to have significance, but at the same time, you need to have long-term views. If everything you decide upon is for short-term returns, that's not going to drive you.
So what was your vision? What was your long-term goal?
Climate change is affecting Singapore immediately already. So it's not going to be like 10 years long-term. I think a couple of years, and it's evolutionary anyway. New things keep coming, new opportunities. So you just keep improving. I set up Kaizen programs years ago. The culture has been set in, so the workforce makes it a point every year to have Kaizen projects anyway. That's really my objective. Part and parcel of the culture is more important.
I see. Maybe you've heard of the study that UOB did this year, where it found that SMEs face hurdles when it comes to implementing sustainable practices due to high costs, lack of knowledge to carry out the right initiatives. Based on your experience, is this a fair assessment of the situation? Give us a sense of what were your biggest challenges.
Mindset change.
Mindset change.
Yes, and the buy-in from staff. One of the most important initiations I did was digitalization, and that scares a lot of people. When you go digital, a lot of people think that their jobs will be lost. But I proved to them that they all kept their jobs, and basically what it's done is upgraded their skills. So they did not fear it after all, and the management team also supported it. That was important. You need to first change the mindset of the management team and then get buy-in from the rest of the staff.
So how did digitalization help your company embark on sustainability journey?
Everything's science-based. So there's no argument. You look at facts and figures, and it's proven.
Amy, I want to dig a little deeper into your industry, which is packaging, as sustainability has moved from being a buzzword to more of a core component of business strategy.
Oh, I'm so happy. Now we reference to some people in the ecosystem. In the past, nobody focused on packaging companies. Now they realize that we play an important role in climate change.
What are some of the key trends or solutions you are seeing in sustainable packaging right now?
The ability to speed up all efforts driven both by public and private. That's why we need more cooperation. Unfortunately, right now with the current environment, we are becoming more polarized when we should not, because a lot of collaboration is needed and creativity. Unless we come to a common objective where all partners in the global world recognize that they have to have this as one target, the collaboration will not be as strong because every country has its own priorities and capabilities. So that hampers a lot of coordination efforts also.
Just going back to that packaging, opinions tend to differ considerably when it comes to packaging. Some want hygienic and sterile packaging, especially in the wake of the pandemic, while others say that minimal packaging is the way forward. Which one is better?
I think firstly you need to define across every jurisdiction what sustainability means. Then you set a global standard and everyone follows that one single standard because there's a lot of room for misinterpretation or interpretation of what sustainability is. And that's where you get a lot of differing views. In terms of cooperation is to get the standards correct amongst all countries first. Then everyone will follow the same rules. Then you can have good solutions coming out. So as you build trust with the solutions that you provide as an individual when you go shopping, at least you know that when you say it's sustainable, it really means sustainable, whether it's from Europe or from the US or from China, it's the same standard.
What's your definition of sustainable packaging? Is it biodegradable or bamboo?
Well, in the past, you wouldn't consider biodegradable, but technology right now has improved so much. So you look at biodegradable. So it actually doesn't get defined by me as to what we think is sustainable, but really at the end of the day, we are here to solve customers' requirements. So every customer has their own unique requirements and what they want to represent on their packaging. So we customize our solutions to them. So that's why on our website, you don't see products. We don't sell products, we sell solutions.
For SMEs still struggling to wrap their heads around going net zero, what would your key advice be?
You have to take one step. Once you take that one step, you see the benefits. Then it's easier to take the second and third steps. That one step is so important that you just need to take. But try it out. There's no harm to try.
That's a great message. And if the wider packaging industry could be transformed in some way, what kind of change would you like to see?
Well, it's become very concentrated and controlled by the bigger companies. So SMEs like us have a very tough role to play. But I hope that other partners in the ecosystem recognize that smaller companies like us are actually very much more nimble and able to support them in much better ways. If customers who use us can recognize that, I think that would support a lot more SMEs to take a more active role in this area. That kind of recognition is important because right now a lot of them favor the bigger companies.
Wow, great message to end on. Thank you very much, Amy, for your time. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thanks to my guest, Amy, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Do remember to subscribe and like this podcast so you know when a new episode drops. You can find CNA's climate and sustainability coverage online at cna.asia. The team behind this podcast, is Jacqueline Chan, Daniel Lee, Audrey Wan, and Crispina Robert. And I'm Julie Yu, signing off.